So when James Gunn took over DC, I didn't really know how to feel about it. Sure, he's a great director, he's never missed on a movie, but how is he going to portray these characters in film altogether? But I think after seeing his slate and hearing how he's going to treat these characters and how the importance of an interconnected universe is not that big of a thing to him, I think we might see a change in how comic book movies are made for the next 10, 15, maybe 20 years just because of James Gunn. James Gunn knows what it means to make a superhero movie. It's not just the generic plots, the super action heavy set pieces, and the post-credit scene at the end and some cameos. You have to make an actual movie that has actual meaning and a literal genre you can place to it. You can see through his slate that he really cares about this subject when it comes to the movies that he's going to be making. He picks certain characters and teams that have different feels, so we're never getting the same movie over and over and over again. You get Swamp Thing, a straight up horror movie, most likely going to be rated R. You get Booster Gold, a comedy series, perhaps dark comedy, something that's more in the realm of BoJack Horseman perhaps. Superman Legacy is obviously that big blockbuster action movie, but with James Gunn, you never really know what he's gonna do because he's just a master in himself when it comes to movie making. But then you have something like Waller that's just a spy thriller that features one of the best characters in the former DCEU in Amanda Waller. You have a Lantern series that he describes as a sci-fi detective thriller, which just sounds amazing to me, and it features the two best Green Lanterns in Hal Jordan and John Stewart. I can't forget Kyle Rayner though, he do be doing his thing, but for right now, we don't have Kyle Rayner, and I'm cool with that as long as we get him soon. But anyway, we have something like Paradise Lost, which is something James describes as DC's own Game of Thrones, which I'm just interested to see how they do that in this universe. The new precedent that James will be setting with the DC universe is that the overall connectivity and canonization of everything doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. As long as your story is good, it can be in the same universe, but it really doesn't matter where it takes place. As long as it's good, the Batman's gonna be over there doing great stuff. Teen Titans Go is gonna be over there doing great stuff. I know a lot of people don't like it that much, but I do. It's just a little humor, but anyway, everything can be in its own lane and still be great. And that's the thing that I think James will show to us in the next 10 years. This is also a perfect time for James Gunn to reestablish DC's hold on animation. Now, I don't really want a lot of DCU movies, and I'll explain why in a little bit. But just know this last 10 years of DC animated movies has been underwhelming. Okay, we got the DC AMU, which is mid. I'm just gonna say it. It peaked at its first movie, and I don't know what else to call it but mid. It has some okay movies, and it has some really bad movies, and it has some mid movies. It has a lot of mid movies. And the next universe they did was the Rebirth universe, or the Tomorrowverse, whatever you want to call it. It had a good start with Superman and Batman, and then it just fell quickly down the hill of midness and then badness, and now they're doing Crisis on their 6th or 7th installment. It's just falling apart super quickly, and it's just the perfect time to just reboot it. And when I say reboot, I don't mean make another animated universe. I don't even mean make more DC animated movies for your DCU. I want the old DC animated movies back where they would just adapt comics into animated movies. I love Under the Red Hood, Wonder Woman 2009, Superman vs. the Elite, All-Star Superman, Superman Doomsday, Superman Batman Public Enemy, Superman Batman Apocalypse, Batman Year One. I mean, all these are just comics put into animated form. That's what I like from DC animation. Then they have the original stuff, which is sometimes cool, but most of the time it's not. I know there has to be original stuff, and I love the original stuff when it comes to like Marvel animation, most recently with Spider-Man, but DC, they just don't hit the same when it's the original animated stuff. At least they don't now, like 20 years ago they did. But original animated movies, they haven't hit for a while. And speaking of stuff they haven't hit on for a while, let's talk about their video games. James Gunn has said that he wants to do video games in his DCU, which I don't mind. It's kind of like a throwback to when Iron Man was first coming out. They had tie-ins to Iron Man, Wolverine, X-Men Origins, Iron Man 2. There was all these adaptations of games for the movies, but he's going to be doing tie-in games that are set in between movies or is in place of a movie. Whatever he's going to do, it's going to take a long time because games take a long time to develop. It takes 6, 7, 8 years. So I don't know how many games he's planning on doing, but they better be AAA games. But I'm not going to waste my time on live service game, which David Zaslav said he wants to focus on, because they're just a waste of time and they suck. If you're not going to give me 100% of your effort in a game, then just keep it. I don't need any more bad DC games. We've had plenty over these couple of years, and it looks like we might get another one with Suicide Squad versus the Justice League. And speaking of that game, I just hope they don't reboot the Arkhamverse, just keep it as it is, and you can make more games out of that if you really want to. Everyone's asking for a Superman game, everyone's asking for that Wonder Woman game that you just went completely silent on. Like, where is that at? Everyone wants a Flash game, even though this Flash looks ugly and yucky and I just don't want to play with him at all. And a Green Lantern game is just, it's written that he can create anything of his imagination. I still don't know why he doesn't have a game. There's plenty of other people you can make games out of that are just not Batman, but DC kind of likes the focus and drive to do anything outside Batman for the past, couple of years. But seeing that James Gunn is now in charge of most things DC besides the comic, a lot of this is going to change, and I think in 5-6 years we'll start to see the impacts of this change, not only in DC but in Marvel, Image, and just the way all these companies move from now on. They're not going to be focused on the super connectivity of their universe. They're not going to be super focused on all these cameos and prioritizing that this movie or show has a complete story and has a dedicated genre, and it's not just a stale imitation of what Iron Man in 2008 was, because that's what most people think of the MCU nowadays. They're just trying to be what Iron Man 2008 was, which is a great movie of the time, but if you just try to keep doing it over and over, it gets stale. But what do you think about James Gunn's DCU? Is he doing it right? Is he doing it wrong? Does he need help from Kevin Feige? Does Kevin Feige need help from him? Just tell me what you think. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch. Have a good day. Bye.